Growing Patch Grub. Today we are going to make cheese scones. Now for this recipe you need self-raising flour, baking powder, cheese. You can just use one type of cheese if you like, but I'm going to use two in mine. Butter, some milk, we've got some cayenne pepper. You don't have to put this in. Mustard powder, you don't have to put this in it either, but it makes it really tasty, and some salt. And the equipment we need is a lined baking tray, lined with some greaseproof paper, a large bowl, a sieve, grater for the cheese, something to cut your scones out with. You can use a cutter or you could use a glass if you haven't got a cutter. We need some spoons for measuring, a fork for mixing, a little pastry brush for brushing the top over the end, and of course our weighing scales. So let's get on to the first task. So the first thing we're going to do is measure all our dry ingredients. So I've got my weighing scales, I'm going to pop it on. I've got a little bowl just to weigh everything into this bowl, and then I'm going to sieve everything. So we need 225 grams of self-raising flour, we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I've got my teaspoon, get the right one here, and make sure we do a level spoonful, like that. We also need a big pinch of salt, so pop some on your hand like that, take a pinch with your fingers and then sprinkle it in, and put a little bit more in there. Then we need a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Again, make it nice and level. And the same for the mustard powder. But like I said, you don't have to put this in if you don't want to. It just makes it extra tasty. And then we're going to sieve all of that into our sieve. So I'm going to pour it in. So I'm going to sieve my mixture, and this way it will make sure the scones are really nice and light and we've got no lumps in our mixture. So just giving it a bang to make it all come out. And this will put lots of air into our scones, which is what we want. Okay, so I've weighed my butter and we've got 55 grams of that. Now we need to put this into small cubes. So, and then we're going to add that to our flour mixture. So I'm just cutting it into little pieces like this, and I'm going to add that to our mixture. Okay, now I've put it into small cubes. We need to rub the butter with the flour to make fine breadcrumbs. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to mix the butter into the flour and then rub it with our fingers to make all the lumps disappear. So we sort of squash them together and rub it into the flour mixture. Now it takes a little while to do this, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to come back when I'm finished. Okay, so that's my mixture now, and it looks like fine breadcrumbs. So I can put this to one side, and now I need to grate my cheese. So I've got 150 grams of cheese, 120 of cheddar and 30 of parmesan, but you could just use cheddar if you preferred. So I've got a board and I've got a tea towel underneath so it doesn't slip, and I'm going to use a grater. Now it's very sharp, a grater, so you need to make sure you're holding the top firmly and then you're keeping your fingers well away. Do nice large strokes from the top to the bottom until you have no more cheese left. But you need to make sure you be really careful that you're not squashing, you're not cutting your fingers. Okay, so I'm just finishing off, and when I get to the very end, if you put your fingers flat, you've got less chance of cutting them. And maybe get an adult helper to help you with that bit. So that's all my cheese grated. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some to one side because I need to sprinkle some over my scones at the end. So I'm going to put this mixture now into my bowl, but I'm going to keep a little bit out that I can use, like I said, to put on my scones later. So pop all that in. So I'm just going to give my mixture a quick mix, but not too much. We don't want to work the mixture too much. I'm just covering the cheese with my flour mixture. And now I'm going to make a little well in the middle because I'm going to pour, that's where I'm going to pour my milk. So now we need 100 millilitres of milk. So I've got my jug here, I've got it on a flat surface, and I'm going to come down so I can see how much I need. That's about right there. Just check, no it's not. There we go, and I'm going to add that to my mixture. And then I'm going to fold it in with my fork until it's all combined. Okay, so I've mixed it all together. You might want to add a bit more milk if it doesn't all combine. And then once it's all mixed together, we're going to pop it on your work surface, and I'm going to pop a bit of flour on, and then we're going to start making our scones. Now I've got a rolling pin here, but you don't have to use a rolling pin. You could literally just squash it down until it's the thickness you want. And the thickness you want is about 2 centimetres thick. So I'm just turning it round because you want a nice thick scone. So I'm rolling it all out. I think that's about right. And now I've got my pastry cutter. There's 2 sides to this one. I'm going to use the flat side, the rounded side. And I'm going to pop it down, give it a twist, and then pop it on my baking tray really carefully. Pop it down, twist, and you keep going until you've used all your mixture up. So I will re-roll this part now when I've taken these out until I haven't got any more mixture left. Okay, so I've done my scones. I've managed to make 9 here. So what I need to do now is just give them a wash with milk. So I'm going to put a bit of milk into a cup or some sort of container, get my pastry brush, and I'm going to put some milk over each one, just so it will be nice and coloured when it comes out the oven. And then we'll sprinkle our last bit of cheese that we kept back over the top. There we go. And we'll just put a tiny bit of cheese on each one, and that will brown and go nice and crispy. And when I've done that, I will pop them in the oven. So the oven is 180 degrees fan assisted or 200 if you haven't got a fan assisted one. So I will pop those in the oven. So they'll be in the oven for 20 minutes, and I'll clear up and they should be ready by the time I've done that. 20 minutes is up, so I'm going to pop them out the oven. Let them cool down for a little bit, and then I'm going to try one. So you could have it with butter, or you could just have it on its own, but it's lovely because all the cheese is melted. So let's have a try.